So I had the crazy idea to draw a manga. But before I can get started on that, I'm gonna need characters. So in this week's episode of YouTube Art School, I think it might be interesting to take you through my creative process, designing all the main characters that will appear in the manga, because there's no way this won't be super fun. I'm Marc. I was a senior artist at Blizzard, and now I run a digital art school. But I might be in over my head here. The last manga I read was like 20 years ago, Dragon Ball. So I'm going into this relying basically on my art fundamentals and nothing else. I watch a lot of anime, I guess, but it's not quite the same thing. Now, I figured it would be much easier to come up with a story once the characters are created. So this brings me to the main character, for which I don't have a name yet, by the way. Maybe I'll let you guys name her, but more on that later. Anyways, I really didn't have any plan going into this other than the fact that I wanted this whole story to happen within the universe of Chroma Island, a world building project that I started a couple of years ago when I was working on building my art school program. I already have some lore figured out, so creating new characters should be easier than starting from scratch, and I've always wanted to bring this world to life. This feels like the perfect opportunity, so while I'm pretty nervous about the whole thing, I'm also very excited about it. I'll need designs for the main characters, but also drawings for different facial expressions, different outfits they might wear, maybe. There's a lot to do because I want to be prepared before I start drawing the manga. And if I were to give a 30-second overview of Chroma Island, just to give you an idea of the world the characters will exist in, it'd be something like this. Chroma is an island in a fantasy world, host to a number of tribes distinguished by their skin color and culture. I've always found the psychology of colors fascinating as an artist, so I wondered what it would be like to have those tribes based on that. Like the Green tribe, for example, a bunch of plant people living in harmony with nature, mostly peaceful, caring and respectful of their environment, stuff you might associate with the color green. And then we have the color red, often associated with rage, intensity, warning signs, danger. So I designed the red tribe to embody those characteristics. It's a tribe of colonists. I kind of had the orcs from Lord of the Rings as the main inspiration for their way of life. Very barbaric, ambitious, bloodthirsty, demon-like basically. But then there's also the blue tribe, the yellow tribe, the white tribe, eventually purple and black as well. But for this manga project, I'll be focusing on a few people within the red tribe. So with that little bit of context, it's always easier to start with a background story before jumping into the drawings. You'll find a lot of the design decisions just come naturally when the character background is fleshed out enough first. So I quickly drew this rough sketch for what could be our main character. This frail looking girl with creepy eyes. The demon horns, the pointy ears, and forehead crystals were design elements that I had already decided on for this specific tribe on Chroma Island. So I just slapped some rags on her, and that's how I got this first draft. I really love rags to riches stories. There's just something cool about seeing a character emotionally and physically evolve over time, so I'll need to draw her adult version later too. But before I get to that, I took some time to brainstorm ideas for her life. Okay, I went a little overboard, but this is what I meant by fleshing out her backstory. I wrote down notes about how she's treated by others, what are some of her personality quirks, what her daily life is like among the red tribe, and by extension I naturally start to think of secondary characters that might have something to do with her situation. It's easy to think of a defect that she might have in the eyes of her tribe and how others might treat her as a result. I already have half a reason for others to treat her differently, like her eyes are pretty intense. Maybe that creeps out the other kids. So I imagine this little guy as an initial villain in her story. What if he was her bully, always picking on her with the other kids because she's different? And to give them even more of a reason to be cruel as kids, her skin color could also be different, like a pale, desaturated pink maybe, instead of red like the others. Because yes, the color of their skin also matched the name of their tribes. And I also have here that both her parents are missing, that she's the weakest kid in a clan where power is everything, and her forehead crystal is dull looking compared to others. Basically, her life sucks, but she wouldn't make a very good main character if she was just a victim, right? So the idea is to have her develop as a character and ultimately take control of her life, but also control of the red tribe as their leader, their strongest. Starting her off as less than nothing just serves to make her rise to the top even more impressive. But then obviously I have to come up with what's so special about her for that to be the outcome. How is she going to get there? I think I need to quickly introduce another little nugget of Chroma Island lore to explain my idea. But basically, I imagine the Red Tribe people as batteries. Kind of. I think it's the best analogy. Like, instead of running on electricity, they run on mana. If the flow of mana stops, they also stop and eventually die. It's their life force. The crystal on their head is like their power plug, the interface through which they receive mana. And it's this big mana core at the center of their village that continuously keeps them powered, alive. Some people in a tribe can handle more of it, more mana, making them stronger, but others can handle less. And when she was born, her dull crystal and frail appearance kind of made her seem like she was a defect, like she had too little mana. Just another reason to pick on her. But of course, that will actually turn out to be her main advantage, because in reality, she'll come to find out that she has this unique ability to control an incredible amount of mana, which is what will one day propel her to the top of the food chain. So I drew her crystal darker to represent that, but it isn't dull because she's weak like she believed all her childhood. It's actually simply underpowered, like the output of the mana core isn't enough for her, so her body is constantly in power saving mode. She just doesn't know it yet. Anyways, I think I have a good feel for her design now. She's starting to feel familiar. All these head angles really helped me feel more confident about drawing her for the manga. This was important to do. So let's move on to another character, one who's going to help her out in many ways. Actually, before we continue, something that is going to help you in many ways, if you've been looking to design characters like this, or literally draw anything you can imagine, might be my art school program that's on sale for a couple more days to celebrate our 8th year anniversary. Check the link down in the video description for all the deets, but it's a complete art education similar to what you would find at university, except it costs less than most pen tablets, and you can do it from the comfort of your home while still hanging out with other students thanks to our school Discord server. It's the largest discount we'll have this year, so I don't want you to miss out on this if you've been considering it. And with that, I'm done with my shameless plug. So going back to designing her main helping hand in the story. Having no parents, I think an old lady hermit would be a good replacement. Maybe she takes in the main character at a young age and helps her out, away from the negativity of the rest of the tribe. What if she lost her own daughter many years ago? Like something bad happened and she was chased away from the tribe, exiled. She's been all alone for years. Actually, that's too sad. Maybe she has a pet to keep her company, one as grumpy as she is. Unrelated, but we've had this family of crickets make our mailbox into their home recently, and they keep coming back, so what about giving her a giant grumpy cricket as a pet? Maybe she can even ride it. She's not getting any younger, so that might be helpful. Doesn't he look like he has a French accent with this mustache? Sacre bleu! Although, it takes a really long time to draw this guy, so I might regret this. Anyways, that sounds like the perfect recipe for character development. 2 outcasts finding each other. I have them both wearing similar rags too to show their status, but let's give her a little apron to help her daily life maybe, and a necklace as a sentimental object. Could be something her daughter gave her many years ago when she was still alive, and this hair tie could be something our main character gave her. All of these small details just help suggest more depth to the characters. Oh, what if let's call her Baba. What if old Baba repaired her outfit, leaving this patchwork? Now they each have some small design elements that tie them together. Stuff that just helps the world feel more believable, I think. I still have her grown-up version that I'm really excited to work on, but I just found a reason for this bully to be the way he is. Kids rarely become bullies because they're happy and loved, right? So his parents are likely to blame. Maybe his father is the clan leader, which might explain why he feels he can bully others. It's not a loving family though, so he's craving attention any way he can get it. Actually, let's give him an accessory to embolden him even more. Something like this amulet containing a second crystal to increase his magic capacity. Something his mother would have given him maybe to make sure that her son is not a weakling. And that's something I could play with for his design too. Adding a few gems here and there to his armor, as if he has some S tier item as a clan leader, vastly boosting his base mana and his power. I was trying to think of a real civilization to use as reference for the outfit designs, and I ended up taking a few ideas from the ancient Romans. I don't know if you can tell, but alright, let's wrap up our lineup by designing the main character's adult version. Finally! I'm thinking she might be the leader all the other tribes on the island will come to fear in the future. So she might eventually get decked out in cool armor too, but for now I just want her to be the evolution of this young girl we started with. Just more healthy and confident now that she's learned to use her mana properly, with the help of the old Baba. I'm thinking that most of her tribe uses their mana to summon energy weapons to fight with. Like those with more mana can summon better quality weapons, but in her case, her overwhelming power could allow her to coat her entire body in mana. like an iron skin spell, and summon pretty much any kind of weapon shape, even projectiles, which would obviously give her a huge advantage. And man, it's so exciting, all the stories that are now popping up in my mind with just this small lineup of characters. It was definitely the right decision to start with this. So how are we gonna call the main character? Since her skin is almost white, I was thinking that the old Baba might have named her after her favorite flower, like maybe a lily, or just Blanche, which is French for white. Let me know in the comments if you have any better suggestions. Maybe you'll get to name her, because I'm not set on the names I have. I'm counting on you. So like I said, guys, I'm working on a manga. I don't know how many pages I'll be able to complete, but be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, because I'll be showing that up for next week's video. Like typical weekly manga chapters are about like 20 pages, but I have no experience, so probably going to be less than that, but who knows? It's gonna be a crazy week ahead for sure. What did I get myself into? It's supposed to be a one-time thing though, but you never know. Maybe I'll hate it. Maybe the result will suck, or maybe you guys will want more. I guess you'll just have to come back next Sunday morning to find out.